The coalition is incredibly important to providing a strong alternative to Labor right now.
We've absolutely got to revitalise our party. We'd be lucky to have 30,000 members right around Australia.
Do I think it'll still exist in 15 years? I wouldn't be so confident.
No one's going to weep hot tears of grief if the Liberal Party doesn't exist.
I think the problems with the Liberal Party are structural. We need to fix that, or else we will die as a party.
One Nation is finding support because our supporters have been demoralised.
I don't think the answer to that is to panic and break the coalition apart.
Stop talking about ourselves. Stop this ridiculous infighting that's going on at the moment.
And I've told Susan to her face, she won't be the leader of the party at the next election.
The Liberal Party has suffered a crushing defeat.
There are huge questions over its modern-day relevance.
The federal opposition has imploded again, this time over Labor's new hate speech laws.
One Nation seizes on surging polls and division within the Liberals and Nationals.
The coalition is back, reuniting after a bitter 17-day split.
But reforming the coalition may not be enough to save Ms Lee's leadership.
I think the basic problem is that we have not often enough been a clear alternative to the Green Left Labor. The Liberal Party leaders who've brought us back from opposition to government have all been strong leaders of the centre-right.
Do you think that the Liberal Party has a brand problem?
The Liberal Party has a massive brand problem. That's why they're losing the faith of the centre and the faith of Middle Australian. They don't offer a modern contemporary feel and look to them.
The right wing of the party, they had control of the party, they had the leader they wanted in Peter Dutton, so they finally had everything they wanted, and they have burnt the Liberal Party to the ground.
We, since the election, have failed to possibly learn the lessons of why we've lost two catastrophic elections. We're driven by disunity at the moment.
And I said when I became leader, our policies are up for review, but our values are not. We will be the Liberal Party that we have always been in 5 years' time.
I think if we continue on our current path, I don't think it's going to be a very healthy future. Too often the conversation around politics is distilled down to people saying, well, what is it that we stand for? In fact, it's really about who we stand for.
What is very clear is that we are not united. Obviously, the events over the summer, the legislation that went through the Parliament were the immediate factors, but this has got to be a coalition that can unite, work together with a sense of purpose, and if we don't provide that strong alternative, people will place their votes elsewhere.
In recent months, there has been a consistent rise across all opinion polls for the One Nation Party. Why do you think that's happened?
I think the success of One Nation is a mirror image of Liberal Party failure, and the general post-election rise in One Nation's vote was an expression of frustration from our supporters parking their votes behind a protest party.
So it's been a real rupture in the right of centre. So where the Liberals have lost, One Nation's gained. It's been voters who are disenfranchised, they're feeling angry. The biggest drop has been amongst over 55s.
Pauline and One Nation presents sound bites for complex political issues. And when you look at the pressures that people are facing today, they don't have time to focus on politics. What they hear is in small increments. What Pauline has been doing is providing those sound bites.
And we are seeing this around the world. There is a surge towards the populist right. There's also a surge towards the populist left. They both believe that the economy, society is a zero-sum game. That in order for me to get ahead, somebody else has to give something up.
You've done nothing but rise in the opinion polls. Who are these voters who are coming to you and where are they coming from?
Right across the board, a lot of them are Conservative voters. There's so much anger out there. They've been let down. They've really had enough. It's the faction within the Liberal Party. You've got too many moderates in there to the Conservative side of politics. So that's where you're getting clash of policies, what they stand for. You've got Matt Canavan going out there and saying, oh, well, we want coal-fired power stations. You've got Susan Lee and the moderates saying, we believe in climate change, net zero. The Nats have been dragged along with the Libs. They can't even cast a vote in how they really feel about the hate speech laws.
Someone like Matt Canavan, would he fit in with One Nation, do you think?
Yes, by all means. He's advocating my policies.
Good luck to One Nation, but they do things very differently. That more top-down, autocratic approach of the One Nation Party just won't gel with the grassroots movement that the Liberal and National parties are.
Can you see a situation in which you end up at some point in some kind of coalition with One Nation if they continue to surge in the regions?
I think trying to copy One Nation is a serious error. It's a serious error. Obviously, there's a wake-up call coming from our supporters who have shifted to One Nation.
I think they should have nothing whatsoever to do with One Nation. I come from Queensland where One Nation is strongest and where there are more regional seats than anywhere else. In my judgment, One Nation doesn't threaten any of the incumbent LNP members in federal or state seats in Queensland. The idea that the Liberal Party, or for that matter the National Party, should chase One Nation, in my view, is absolutely a fool's errand.
There are two different Australias. There is rural and regional Australia, which is 43% of the parliament, and there's metropolitan multicultural Australia, which is 57% of the parliament. I think that's where the Liberal Party has the best case to offer, and the Nationals have the best case to offer on those 43%. Maybe that's best done apart, I'm not sure.
The idea of us permanently splitting or even temporarily splitting is bad. It is 100% bad. It is a terrible idea because we work at our best when there is that creative tension.
I think there's two major problems with that thesis. It doesn't recognise the current makeup of the Liberal Party room, which is overwhelmingly regional and rural, more than it ever has been in its history. So the idea that the Liberal Party is about to become a party of the inner cities, based on our current party room, I think is a naive assessment of where the party room is right now. And far worse than being able to slightly adjust our message to appeal to inner cities will be the fact that we will be having 4 and 5 cornered contests in some seats against the National Party, the Labor Party, One Nation, and potentially Teals or other independents that will decimate our primary vote and make it very hard to hold the seats that we currently have.
Where do you stand on that question?
Well, that didn't go well for us last time we were separated in the 1980s. It's a different world now, of course, but it didn't go well for us. I think we are stronger united. But we are also stronger if we don't try to be One Nation or anything else.
I do think a coalition government is the best solution for the problems of this country, and those problems are legion. At the same time, I'm not willing to compromise on my basic values and principles for the sake of a coalition, for the sake of this arrangement, which I think is really a business arrangement, it's not a marriage.
Were you surprised at the ferocity of the reaction by some, coalition supporters to the decision to support the legislation?
Yeah, well, look, I think there were understandable concerns with that process and the substance of the legislation. Of course, it was rushed. There is a review built into the legislation now, and I think it's very, very important we use that to take stock and get this right.
The polling also tells us that young people are increasingly alienated from the Liberal Party, or have been, especially young women. What do you think is the cause of that? What do you think needs to be done to turn it around?
We are looking at the next generation that is set to inherit a worse standard of living than their parents and grandparents. The biggest concern, which is bigger than all of their other concerns combined, is housing.
Australia is an urbanised democracy, more than most. And we haven't recognised that, and we haven't evolved our pitch, our values for multicultural metropolitan Australia.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because 30 years ago, Howard was successful at pitching to suburban Australia.
I think the key difference to John Howard being successful in urban Australia and the collapse now is home ownership.
What is the future for the Conservative or non-Labor parties if the housing crisis isn't fixed for young people?
Diabolical. Why do people vote Conservative? Why do they shift from being a progressive voter in their 20s and 30s to becoming a Conservative voter in their 30s, 40s and 50s? People buy a home. And once someone buys a home, they're invested in the economy.
You can't be a party of aspiration if you're not on the side of the aspiring. Who are the aspiring? They're always new Australians and young Australians, the next generation who want to get ahead.
What do you think of the rise in the One Nation vote, which some pollsters say is driven off the back of concerns about migration?
I think One Nation's pitch is to an Australia from 30 years ago. And that might work in some regional seats, but it doesn't work in the cities. Yes, migration is a huge issue in Australia right now, but I think it's a subset of economic concern.
We were the party that presided over the post-war migration in the main. We built modern Australia. So for us to turn our back on that would be the end of the party. So we have to reconnect with the newly arrived Australians.
Do you think the Liberal Party's lost some of that?
I think the teeing off on certain groups, or the way it was perceived, has been very damaging.
If they could change one thing to help themselves, what's the thing you think the Liberal Party should do?
We cannot assume that the Liberal Party is going to be there forever. Membership has dwindled and it is no longer representative of the community whose votes it needs to win elections.
The real concern now is not just younger women, it's younger people. And when I say young, I'm now talking about anybody under the age of 45. That's a real concern, that our contemporaries are no longer naturally Liberal voters. We have always been a mainstream Australia party. If we can't reflect the mainstream in what it is that we're talking about, what it is that we're saying, the policies that we're presenting, well, we don't deserve to be here.
I mean, it's embarrassing that in a state like New South Wales, we'd be lucky to have 5,000 active members. For all its faults, the Liberal Party is the best hope of better government in this country, and it will be a better Liberal Party if we have more members.
I think one of the challenges we have is we've boxed ourselves into fighting for older Australians. If you want young Australians to vote for you, you've got to fight for them. If you want women to vote for you, you've got to fight for them. We have to sell a much bigger story, not just for the country, but of course for Australia's lived ambitions and dreams if we want to get young Australians to vote for us.
But I think it's the cohort from 20 to 60 that we've really got to try and find policies for over the next year. And I think it's over the next year. I mean, I think if we're sitting here in 2 years from now and we haven't announced a full policy suite, then we're in big trouble again.
The policies that we have started to talk about, to bring forward, are very much about the next generation.
What is the one thing that you think the Liberal Party needs to do if it's to turn itself round?
I think the Liberal Party needs to get back to its core business. Its core business is addressing the issues that matter to everyday Australians in both the cities and in the country and in the regions. There's no magic formula here. The party that wins elections in Australia is the party that wins marginal seats. And most of those marginal seats are in the cities, and they are won by addressing the issues, the everyday household concerns of everyday Australians.